Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and I play Dead by Daylight so you don't have to. Well, it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all know what that fucking means. It's time to go over the fucking new shit dropped courtesy of Behavior Interactive. Oh, God. This chapter right here, dude, what is this, 22? We on 22? We're on 22, right? Yeah. 22, bruh. We have the artist and Ots Darva coming into the game. Who would have thought about that, bruh? So, there are some things to go over. They touched Pinhead. They buffed and nerfed a few things. I think it's overall a nerf, but who cares? It's not taking him out of where he is, which is B- because of Boons. His overall tier is going to be the same, and he's probably not going to be affected, so I'm not even going to go over those. They did fine-tune the Spirit as well, because she took a significant dip, except on that one add-on. That's OP. So, let's go ahead and talk about the new shit, which is just the 6 perks and the killer. That's pretty much all we got this time around. So it should be pretty short and sweet. Let's go ahead and get fucking through this shit. The very first perk we're going to go over is probably the worst perk of the Survivor. It's Corrective Action. Oh, you start the trial with 3 tokens and gain a token for every great skill check. When a survivor fails a skill check while cooperating with you, 1 token is consumed and their failed skill check becomes a good skill check. Who cares? This is terrible. How about just hit your skill checks? What a concept, right? You just don't play like shit, and then boom. You know? Like, what an interesting idea. This perk is terrible. Don't run this. It's terrible. Next perk, the new exhaustion perk, Overcome. You've calculated how much energy you can risk to expend. When you were injured, you retain the movement speed bonus for 2 seconds longer. Overcome causes exhausted and for 40 seconds. The only thing I don't like about this, people, is we're running out of Dead Hard replacements. That perk needs a fucking nerf. And this is another exhaustion perk we're just throwing in the game. Instead of nerfing fucking Dead Hard. Like, Dead Hard needs a new effect, and we're running out of them. Smash hit got in, no one fucking runs that shit. So what they did here was they put in the veterans bonus from Identity 5. It's actually worse, because the veterans bonus is actually 3 seconds. So I actually have experience playing against this already. And let me tell you that it's not going to be that good. It's not going to be that good. The thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that unlike Sprint Burst, unlike Dead Hard, which are the 2 best exhaustion perks, this perk does not help you sponge a health state. That's what makes Sprint Burst and Dead Hard so good. They let you sponge health states. Okay? And the reason that that's important is because it turns a 2-hit chase into a 3-hit chase. Overcome's not going to do that. It's just going to make that transition a little bit better, which killers are already bad at punishing transitions, and a lot of good killers will opt to just bounce around until they find the really, really weak player. Okay? So what that essentially means is this perk's not going to do much for you. Like, it might help, like, the killer might drop you, and then you'll go, wow, Overcome's so broke, but the killer's not committing to you, so they're not losing any overall pressure. Like, they're not losing out in a chase, they're just dropping you earlier. That might not actually help as much as you think it does. I don't know, bro. In Identity 5, it works a little bit better because, like, killers don't have the best 1 versus 4 in that, so they rely on the 1v1s and the downs to secure chairs and camp. Which again, Dead by Daylight, that sounds kind of comparable, but the thing about Identity 5 is that there's some bricks that are just that you just can't down, and so the people that you down often, well, the veterans bonus is actually only on certain characters. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Very underwhelming exhaustion perk. So the last excellent perk is called Boon Exponential. Oh, cool. All survivors within the Boon totem range recover 100% faster and completely recover from the dying state. And just like that, the twins further shoot themselves in the foot. The Boons are wrecking the twins, just destroying them. The Boon meta, bruh. The Boon meta. How about we just buff Unbreakable? How about we just buff Self-Care? Remember all the perks that are, like, bad? Let's just use Boons and then buff them all. This meta is horrible. All it does, ladies and gentlemen, is it continues, What's going to be better now? Your slug games are now going to be less consistent too. Camping is getting better and fucking better because of this. These perks are bad design, bro. Just bad fucking design. You gotta fucking, cause why do I want to leave the guy slugged in the boon? I don't know. This one might not be too bad. This one might not be as bad, because if you're getting downed and then the killer's right next to the boon, they might opt to go break it. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's unbreakable. It's gonna be good. It's fucking awful. These perks are fucking terrible. They've been the biggest failure in the game's history. Insanely busted. So not liking any of those. Let's go over to the killer's perks. Grim Embrace. The artists will deal with her in a minute. Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, you gain a token. Upon reaching 4 tokens, Grim Embrace activates. The enemy blocks all gens for 30 seconds, and the Obsession's aura is revealed to you for 4 seconds. Oh. That could say a minute, and it would still not be very good. You gotta hook every single survivor in the match, bro. In a meta where you seal off the objectives. And I don't know. It is a gen blocking perk, so it's probably not gonna be the absolute worst thing in the game. But isn't it interesting that, every single perk here has something to do with the gens? That's odd. That's interesting, isn't it? I don't know. 4 survivors, all 4 of them, that's a tall order. By the time you're getting to that level of bouncing around, you've probably almost won the game already. If it said 2, it could be 30 seconds, but it says 4. And I don't know. I just think at that point in the match, you're probably already on the board enough to secure at least a tie. I don't know. I don't think this perk's going to do much for you. It is a gen stall perk, so again, it's not going to be the worst perk in the game because of that reason alone. But the activation condition is just really rough. Next, Scourge Hook, Pain Renaissance. 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. You see their auras in white. Anytime a survivor is hooked on a Scourge Hook, the gen with the most progress explodes, instantly reducing 15% of the progress and starts to regress. Survivors repairing the generator screen to reveal their location. I'm going to test this one. This looks like her best perk of the chapter, because you don't have to hook all 4 survivors. You just got to hook them on a Scourge Hook. So... And the testing I've done of the last Scourge Hook, that is doable. Getting them to the Scourge Hooks is okay. It'll be okay. 15% is a pretty decent number, so it should be all right. It's not going to be meta, but it'll be okay. It might be worth testing. The last perk. This is the one that pisses me off. The new Hex. You reveal the true power of totems hidden within their remains. You see the aura of destroyed totems. You can perform a ritual on a destroyed totem to resurrect it as a rekindled totem. The more rekindled totems that exist, the greater their effects. Rekindled totem number 1. Reduces survivors' repair speed by 30%. Rekindled totems 2. Reduces healing speed by 30%. Reduces recovery speed by being down by 30%. 4. Reduces survivors' exit gate by 30%, and then 5, all totems are blocked by the entity permanently. That's permanent. So obviously, when you're looking at all these effects, there's only one that matters, and it's the first one. 1 rekindled totem reduces repair speed by 30%. Okay, that's the one that actually matters. But here's the problem. Why are those numbers so big? Because they're allowed to be big. Because even with those huge numbers, that's shit. Because no one's breaking totems anymore. They're blessing them. Because of the ridiculous boon effects. If this said, you see the aura of destroyed totems, you can perform a ritual on the destroyed totem to resurrect it as a rekindled totem. Rekindled totem, I don't know. I wish they would have, somehow differentiated between a boon and then the broken ones. Here's what I would have done. Okay, you see the aura of destroyed and boon totems. You can perform a ritual on the destroyed totem to resurrect on the destroyed/boon to resurrect it as a rekindled totem. The more rekindled totems that exist, the greater their effects. Rekindled totems cannot be re-blessed as boon totems. Number 1, rekindled totem. If there's one rekindled totem up from, like, you half it. Repair speed is decreased by 15% when you bring back a destroyed totem, and then you get the 30% if you destroy a boon. And then they can't bring the boon fucking back. No one, this perk is useless because no one's gonna fucking blow it up. They're just all gonna fucking put the fucking broken boons on it. But you're sitting in here going, yeah, but what about inner strength, bro? Rosie, what about inner strength? Yeah, inner strength. That's great. That's a great perk. Especially in Circle Healing meta, where you get perma heals for blessing one totem versus getting one heal for destroying a totem. Yeah, that's not good. So, against any good team, this isn't going off. Which means the perk is horrible and you should never run it. It's horrible. That is horrible. If they fucking at least gave it a buff to where if you could do it to boons. If you could do it to boons, then it would be alright. It would see play. Because it's realistic enough that you could go and get rid of the fucking boons and get 30% repair speed. It will be more worth traveling out of your way to get rid of a boon to decrease repair speed by 30%. Okay? If you could fucking do that, that'd be good. If this perk did that to the boons, it would be meta. It really would. But it's not doing that. They're just letting the boons run rampant for no fucking reason. So this perk is shit. Hopefully, they give it a buff to where you can do it to boons. If they don't do it to where you can do it to boons, it's useless. It would still be meta even if it said that you could still re-bless the totem. It's 30% repair speed debuff. That's more than the Dying Light debuff back in the day. So, I don't know. Very missed opportunity here to give us something really cool. And it's a Hex, too, so it wouldn't even, still be that good. You'd have to run it with Undying, and then you'd get the 30% debuff after they would bless Undying. I don't know, you'd run Undying, Ruin, this, and Corrupt. So you'd have Undying would go down first, and then it would just leave it up to chance. You'd have the 30% debuff on the repair, and then the Ruin totem there too. I don't fucking know. I just wish it could work on boons. It would be worth working with if it could do boons, but since it doesn't do that, nope. Sorry. Last but not least, let's go over the artist. Okay? The artist, people seem to be split down the middle. Some people think she's very good. Some people think she's weak. Some people think she's average. I don't think she's as strong as people that say she's strong are making her out to be, but she's also not weak. Okay? I also think she's stronger than intermediate right now, though, from what I've seen. And the reason I think she's stronger than intermediate is because what a keystone has changed. Okay? Saying that I think she's keystone now, because I do. I think if I were to place her right now, you got a gun to my head, I say she's keystone. Okay? However, that is different in today's meta. The term keystone meant something else 2 weeks ago. Okay? If she came out 2 weeks ago, she'd be an A tier. And now she's just a keystone because of the massive keystone purge that just happened because of the boon totems. Okay? So I would rank her right now as a keystone character. Here's what she does, okay? So she throws crows out, alright? You press and hold the power button to charge a Birds of Torment. Once fully charged, you tap the attack button to summon a dire crow. So you have to charge up your power, and then once it's charged, you can throw up to 3, but they're called dire crows out, okay? You can repeat the action by tapping continuously, holding down the power, and tapping again. So, once they're summoned, it stays idle for a limited time. Apparently, there are add-ons to make them stay out longer. And then, spawning a new one will extend the time that the previous ones stay idle, and then you tap the power button to propel them into flight. They go in a straight line for 128 meters. Okay? Dire crows can inflict damage for a short distance. When flying, this is indicated by the dire crow's flight path. Once the dire crow continues past the flight path, it will no longer inflict damage, but now passes through any obstacles and reveal nearby survivors using Killer Instinct. In this phase, dire crows will create a swarm around survivors they hit, allowing the killer to see the swarm's aura on the survivor, can repel the swarm by completing the repel action or entering a locker. During this time, the swarm's aura is not shown to the killer. Survivors being swarmed will receive damage if hit by a second dire crow. Okay, so let's go over that. So what does this do? Okay, there's some stuff that's not here that we also have to say. Okay, so when you spawn a dire crow, it sits there idle. Okay, if the survivor runs into the dire crow, they become swarmed. If they run into a second dire crow while swarmed, they become injured. Okay, so here's the cake. All right, we got a 115 character here that can immediately, upon the start of the match, shoot out these crows 128 meters to 3 different generators. That's her first play every single time. Okay? What other killer gets that amount of information that quickly? None. Unless you have Lethal Pursuer. She gets 3 gens scouted instantly upon the start of the match. You don't have to even hit the survivors. They reveal nearby survivors using Killer Instinct. You don't have to be accurate. You just whip them out toward the gens, and then if somebody's there, you get Killer Instinct. If she spawns in on like Autohaven Wreckers, like that horrible map, or it even works on something like Yamaoka's Estate too. Not Mother's Dwelling, the Spirits map, not Oni's Spirits. It works on that one. Family Residence, that's it. And that fucking one, that 3-gen city one, I forget what that's called. I'm so dumb. Wrecker's Yard. It's not Wrecker's Yard. You'll know which one I'm talking about. The one where it spawns 4 gens on one side, one in... Sometimes it spawns 4 gens. That horrible Autohaven map. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, you come in, you throw the 3 birds out, you immediately have an idea on where people are. That's insanely good. Okay? And what she is she's set up. Like, you go and you place a crow, a section of crows at a spot that will punish the survivors for doing animations. Okay? For example, sticking to Autohaven. The huge crane tile at Autohaven, you can go up behind it, put a dire crow out, and then chase normally. You put one dire crow out at that, and you put another one out near the pallet. Okay, so if they go near the pallet, you release the birds, and they take a hit. Or once they vault the window, drop down, then you release the crow, then they take a hit. Okay, that's the kind of tile interaction we're talking here. Okay. And even if you only, if you have dire crows out at tiles and then you only swarm them, if you still have another crow up and they run into that crow, it's like a Freddy snare and they take a hit, essentially. So we're looking at a very interesting way to tackle some tiles here. Okay? A criticism I've heard, pre-dropping hurts her. Okay, while this can probably be true... you can put a dire crow out to at least swarm them if they pre-drop it, and then you charge the power, and then you put up some. So if they try to loop it, they'll have to break off. Okay, she kind of force transitions. However, she does seem kind of bad at punishing transitions. That's the only criticism I've heard that's legit. I also heard that the behavior blocks like the hook, like you can't put dire crows at hooks. I think there's going to be a limit on that, and I think her camping game is still going to be better than average. Okay? So I think she's going to have an ability to camp. I don't think it's going to be, as good as it could be, but I think she's going to be able to do it. And I think that's going to cause some niche plays right there. You're going to get some niche either hits or swarms. They probably, if the behavior was smart... and they wanted to really kill this character's camping potential, what they would do is they would make it so, the crow's distance, from camping distance, would only cause the swarm. That would effectively probably kill off any camping potential. I don't know. That's one thing that I want to keep in mind as we go about here. But I think what this character is going to be really good at is a 1v1 engagement at a loot chase, as well as the shaping of the map. She's going to get so much information, especially when she does a hook. She doesn't need barbecue, which is nice. Well, barbecue's not even good anymore anyway. But it's just, that the ability to just pick your spots. She's going to have better potential to pick her spots than a lot of other characters on the roster. It's like, let's look at somebody like Shitslinger. I've heard Shitslinger's 1v1 is better even after his nerf. Okay, that may be true, but which character is going to be better at isolating the map, picking their spots, going after the right survivors, having information on the map? It's going to be her every time. It's going to be the artist every time. She's going to have so much information on what you're doing at like all times. Okay, and especially when you have like something like Tinker, Deadlock, stuff like that. And then when she has synergy with her own perk where she puts you on a scourge hook, the generator blows up, then she throws birds at it, like instantly. And then she's throwing more birds out from a distance. The birds are going to be less reactable up close, so like dodging them from afar is probably not going to be too much of a problem. It's when they're up close that it's probably going to be less reactable, especially when there's going to be multiple crows. When there's going to be multiple dire crows at the same tile, it's going to be pretty hard for survivors to dodge that when she's fully set up. So, I think she's going to tackle this game in a new way. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I think there is a potential A tier here. I'm not going to sleep on A tier quite yet. Right now, I'm still saying Keystone because I haven't played her. Counterplay hasn't developed, but her strategies also haven't developed yet either. She's kind of a complex character. So, right now, I say Keystone. I think her strategies will get better, as well as the counterplay will also get better to kind of leave her position in my mind unchanged. However, it's also possible that her strategies develop and then there's no counterplay for them. That would put her probably into A. Whereas it's also possible that the counterplay develops and then her strategies her strategies hit an early ceiling and that would cause her to fall. But it's too early to say right now. These are just early impressions of what possibilities could await her as she gets played more and more and more. I think there's potential here, and I think that this killer, being an undisputed A tier 2 weeks ago before Boons, she has a lot of potential to scout the Boons out, because if she throws the birds at like, it's like, I don't know, like if she can kind of scout out those Boons with the birds, like, I think there's potential here, bro, especially if you know your totem spots. Or just kind of like, if you're throwing out, you get a killer instinct reveal, you can go over, possibly find the Boon, and then smash it. I think the amount of information that she's going to have is going to make her let her make better decisions that will improve her 1 versus 4 game enough to smash more Boons. And this is huge. Like, what's the Twins' biggest problem now? The fact that they have a lot of 1 versus 4, but like they can't. The time efficiency they get from going to smashing the Boons is causing them a tremendous problem because you have to work Charlotte over there. The fact that this character is going to get Twins levels of information, but is going to be able to possibly work her way around more effectively to smash more Boons is going to be big. Smashing Boons is huge in the meta right now. That's why a character like Blight is still insanely good. Billy has moved up the tier list. But smashing Boons is that fucking good right now. Okay? So the potential for this power to allow her to smash Boons is there. Like, people, like you have to look at it from an entire game perspective. How does she sync up with the meta of the game? Smashing Boons is really relevant right now. Making sure you can scout the Boons out, find them faster, shit like that. And I think she's going to be able to do that. Regardless of anything else, the information, I think there's massive potential here. Especially if she can, like, I don't know, maybe put, like, 1 dire crow at one end of the tile, 1 dire crow at the other end, and then, like, I'm trying to think of how she could, like, actually use her swarm hits to, like, actually do things. Which is possible. She could be able to do that. But I think most of your hits are going to come from actually hitting people. And again, for you using your power to punish the predetermined route and forcing survivors to do other things. Okay? Because what survivors are going to be wanting to do is not play the predetermined position to way that they can bait the birds out, and then if the birds are still coming at them, use their new reactable positions and then dodge them, or either just suck it up and take a hit because it doesn't matter until you're swarmed. So definitely force her on the transition is what the survivors are going to be trying to do. But as the player, you can start reacting for that. And you can start anticipating what the transition was going to be and then actually intercept it to get an actual, either a basic attack or even a bird hit. So Just because she's admittedly going to be weakest at the transitions, that doesn't mean that she's helpless at them. So I definitely think we have a keystone here right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I think that it is not a coincidence that this character was the first one that came out with MMR. I just think that the meta of the game is I don't think the devs understand the new strength that killers need to be at in order to succeed. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they don't understand the meta shift yet, and I think that's because the survivors are bad. But that's about all I have to say for the day, lads. I'm going to keep watching her, and if my opinion changes and I see more plays, I will make another video on her. Because I think this character's complexity means that we should be talking about her frequently, as we see and notice more things. Alright, I'm getting the hell out of here. Overall, not the strongest chapter. The killer's the best part. Everything else is laughingly bad. I'm getting the hell out of here, lads. G fucking G's.